Good morning and welcome to the weekend writing vlog. Today is I didn't print out a calendar. I want to say it's day 11. Yes, it's day 11 of the challenge. So, we're getting into the middle, and in my book, I'm also in the middle. And the middle is when it gets really hard for me always because I tend to know how my stories begin and end, but I do not know what to do in the middle with my characters and how to bring them there where they need to be by the end of the journey. So this time around, the middle has been doing better. I am further into the middle already, and I do know some key events that's going to happen, and I do know the midpoint and where everything is going to turn and how everything is going to lead me to the third act in general. But I need to get a little more specific and a little more down to the each chapter level and see what other events I want to cover, because this book has been a work in progress for many years now, so it has evolved through different shapes and forms, and sometimes I get lost in what exact events pertain to this version of the story and which ones are left in the past. So I will need to sit down and look through my character's emotional journey, which I already planned for, and then look through the events that I was thinking about, and also maybe even call a friend, meaning get a book on story structure, which I do have a couple of those at home, and look through the elements of the middle and see if I forgot something or if there's something I can include that will make this part of the book more clear to me at this point. That is all partially to say that we do not expect any word count this weekend. If it takes me just a little bit of time, just this Saturday or just this morning, to figure the middle out, then yes, I'll keep on writing through the rest of the weekend. But if not, if it takes me today and tomorrow, I'm fine with that. So right now, I just want to plot a little bit, think about my book, think about its structure. Plotting is writing, so it's fine. And yes, that's the focus of this weekend, to clean up the messy middle, to figure out why am I feeling like I'm a little bit stuck on the chapter level. So what I've discovered so far is that I'm very clear on the events that are going to happen around the climax and the choices my character will be making leading up to the climax. It is the foundation of these choices that I still need to lay down. So I have some initial seeds of why she's going to act the way she's acting, and I have a good idea of how it's going to affect her choices closer to the end of the book. But I feel like in the middle, I need to strengthen these connections. I need to grow those seeds into a full-blown plants that's gonna make her act the way she's gonna act. So that is one thing that became clear to me as I was working on that. And also, I was just thinking about how, it's kind of terrifying to build something and not be sure how it's going to come out. I guess that's the risk of being a pantser, or I wouldn't even call myself a pantser because in my writers group I have actual pantsers, And they look at me like, whoa, what structure, like what planning, I still do planning, it's just minimal planning. And I was talking to my sister, she's writing as well. And as I was talking kind of like theoretically about like, I kind of know what happens there and, this and that, she looked at me like, did you not write a synopsis? And I'm like, well, I wrote, it's not exactly a synopsis, it's not like a full synopsis, but I wrote parts of the synopsis and I also wrote the points in terms of like the emotional journey, like how she's feeling. Because I feel like before, when I was attempting to write a book, you may write a lot of words and you may write a lot of scenes. But if your character is not changing throughout those scenes, then it's not a story. That was one of the obstacles to me finishing a book, that there was no real change. The change was in the setting or the characters or the dialogue, but it was never really a planned change that tells a story. This time around, I'm doing this. I'm making sure I'm following this emotional journey. So that is a stronger base for me than the synopsis, actually. So I do have a synopsis by now. I look at it now, it's not all of it is going exactly the way I planned it. So I wrote it and then I kind of didn't look at it for a while. And so now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, well, I didn't do that and I changed that, so it's changing and I'm fine with it. But the overall arc of the story is still the same. Unless you are like really a planner, like fully 100% a planner, and you plan every single, chapter down to the scenes, you will be lost at some point and you will be not sure what to do, even though technically you know what should happen or you know what the result should be, but you don't know how to execute it. So I had a dream last night about our new construction, because we're buying new construction and it's exciting, but it's also, I guess, nerve-wracking because you're buying a cat in the bag, right? So you don't know exactly, I mean, you know what it's supposed to come out like, but until it happens, you will not know exactly what it's going to look like and what the quality of work is going to be. So I have had multiple nightmares about the house being ready and it looking completely different from what we talked about. So I had one dream where I came to the house and I see that, the house is supposed to be under construction still, like just the walls or something. But I see that everything's done, the floor tile and the walls and everything, and everything is done, in a manner that it looks so old and outdated and completely just like not what I expected it to be. And I look at that, I'm like, what is it? And then I walk into the next room and I see my husband, putting wallpaper on the walls and like tile and stuff. And I'm like, what are you doing? We haven't even been to the design center yet. And he's like, well, they're almost finished, you see, so we need to really hurry up. And I woke up like being just so scared, that that's the truth and that's how the house is gonna look. And this night, last night, I had a similar dream. We went to see the house and everything, like the floor specifically. For some reason, it's always like the floor and the wallpaper. It's not about like the appliances or anything like that. It's always the walls and the floor that freak me out. And so we go in there, and the floor, so when we were picking the floor, originally I was thinking more like grayish tones, but then I watched some design videos. I like to watch Nick Lewis and his interior design device, and he talks a lot about how if it's wood or if it's LVP that looks like wood, you want to make it look realistic, like actual wood, and actual wood has warm undertones. And so gray LVP is not natural. And so he thinks it's not a good choice for a house because it just doesn't look natural and looks very cold. Especially we have a lot of like black and white furniture. And so we want to make sure it doesn't look very depressing, like black and white and gray. And so when we were at this design meeting, even though originally I was thinking grayish, I then went with a warmer tone. So in my dream, I go to the house and the floors are literally yellow. It's like yellow, yellow, yellow wood, the type you might see in very old houses, but also like, I don't know, because some old houses have very beautiful wooden floors, but it was like old and yellow, so yellow that it would, completely not go well with anything we're bringing to the house. And so again, I was terrified. I'm like, but that is not. And it's like, it's always like the tile in my dreams, it's those nightmares. It's always like crooked, it's not put in this specific orderly way. It's always put kind of like every which way. And I was just like, that is not what we talked about. Like, that is not what it's supposed to look like. So I feel like it might be, I mean, obviously, I do have thoughts about the new construction, like, but in my real life, not in my dreams, I'm not terrified. I'm like very excited. I believe in our builders. I'm expecting a beautiful house, so at least consciously, I'm not worried about that. So I wonder if that's like a subconscious manifestation of my fear of building my book wrong, that maybe I'm not putting the tiles right or the wallpaper and it's gonna come out terrible, maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Just a little psychological anecdote. It's my work weekend, so I'm going to work today, and I took the book with me and I am planning to read it during my lunch break.